Well, would you look at that? Major League Baseball found their new host city for the All-Star Game. It's going to be in Denver. Denver, right? Thankfully not Boulder, I suppose. But then again, they'd be a couple days late. I kid, of course. Rockies to host 2021 All-Star Game. And this is straight from MLB.com, so we can just go ahead and see what they gloss over. But we won't. We won't. Of course not. Major League Baseball announced today that the 2021 All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, yes, deplatformers extraordinaire, and its surrounding events will be hosted by the Colorado Rockies. The national broadcast of the All-Star Game on Fox will be held on Tuesday, July 13th. Baseball's 91st Midsummer Classic will be the second event ever in Denver, joining the 1998 event at Coors Field. The draft is still expected to be held as part of the All-Star festivities and is tentatively scheduled for Sunday, July 11th. Get your tickets now, folks, at a to-be-determined venue in Denver. Oh, God bless. MLB chose the Rockies because they were already in the bidding process to host a future All-Star Game. The Rockies had supplied a detailed plan for hotel, event space, and security that took months to assemble, and MLB staff had already made several site visits to Denver. In addition, Governor Jared Polis and Mayor Michael Hancock have both committed to provide the necessary facilities and services needed to support this year's festivities. So after they get through some more PR fluff and then tell you that the All-Star Game for 2022 is going to be hosted by the Dodgers, it takes them 7 paragraphs to address the big fucking elephant in the room. The decision comes after MLB announced last week that it would relocate the All-Star Game and draft from Atlanta in response to the passage last month of SB 202, a Georgia law that President Joe Biden recently criticized. What is it about? Saying that it will restrict voting access for residents of the state. So you move it to Denver, huh? Interesting, right? Well, we'll get into why that's a problematic decision, but okay, so you move from a state that is wide open, right? Georgia, it was the first state to open up. It was referred to as the Georgia experiment, if you remember. No mask mandate. They just kicked the doors wide open in May of last year. I do believe it was May. It was late May. And since then, I haven't had any conceivable problems. Their caseloads have been completely manageable. Excess mortality is nowhere higher, nowhere lower than anywhere else of a big state. And you could pretty much classify Georgia as a bigger state because of the population that they have there. So instead you move it to a much more spacious, much bluer area because Colorado is home to your politics. Are they going to be able to properly accommodate? Well, they already took trips through facilities, right? But what about the fans? Because this is what this is supposed to be for, right? The All-Star Game is supposed to be for the fans, even though it's just a bunch of millionaires that get together and they get to see their friends who they don't normally see on a regular basis and sit around and convene and talk about how oppressed they are. It used to be the MLB. The MLB used to be the last saving grace where you wouldn't have so much politicization, but then be the fucking breaks, I suppose. Anyways, here is straight from the Denver website, okay? Things that I'm concerned about, okay? Because it's going to be at Coors Field. So how would you properly classify that? Is it an outdoor gathering space? Are the concessions going to be open? Is that going to make it a restaurant? Is that going to make it a bar? Like, okay, are they going to be selling merchandise and memorabilia? Because, hey, you're supposed to have people there. But how many people are supposed to be there as well? Like, what are the guidelines? Because you got the Colorado ones, and then you have the much more restrictive at the city municipality level. So, okay, an outdoor restaurant, 6 feet between the parties, outdoors, last call, 11 o'clock for in-person dining, alcohol on premises. Okay. Cool. Organized recreational youth or adult league sports. Would this qualify? It should, but remember there's a 2-tier justice system and elites have one and then the plebs have another. No more than 25 players, excluding coaching staff and referees or umpires. That could be a problem. Outdoor events, 50% of posted occupancy limit, not to exceed 175 people. Whichever is less. Well, when you have a 40,000 plus seat building, I think 175 people are probably going to fill it up first. Whichever is less within their usable space, calculated using a distance space calculator excluding staff per designated area or activity. If seated, can use the 6 feet distancing between non-household contacts inside of using the calculator. But then again, city-owned recreation centers are supposed to be closed right now, and as far as I know, some taxpayer funds go into Coors Field, but then again, maybe I'm just nitpicking, because this is all subject to change, of course. This is all for just right now, when Denver will keep certain COVID-19 restriction mask mandate in place. Interesting. Okay. And this is from just a couple of days ago, so this is as recent as we know. City officials on Thursday urged residents to remain cautious about COVID-19 and said Denver will keep certain protocols in place even after the state hands control to local jurisdictions in the near future. Mayor Michael Hancock said residents should expect city's mask mandate to remain in place through early May and likely longer. So if you're going to be going down for the All-Star Game, which remember, this is a fan-centric event, make sure to have your mask, or have two, bring one for a friend, as the city assesses the mandate on a month-to-month basis forever and perpetuity. Bob McDonald, director of the Denver Health Department, said Denver will keep indoor capacity limits to some extent, doesn't really much matter in this, in place for the foreseeable future, though limits on outdoor spaces could be lifted. I'd imagine, okay, we did this coverage for the NHL trade deadline or trade, whatever the fuck it is going on right now. I don't care. I haven't checked into the NHL for a long time. But there was a special exemption given to athletes, to professional athletes, not just regular athletes. You're still not allowed to congregate with your regular rec league right now or your beer league softball team because COVID. But no, you're only supposed to quarantine if there's a trade that happens between the United States and Canada, if the different divisions right now. Only a 7-day quarantine. Everybody else needs a 10-day quarantine because, I don't know, reasons try to justify that one. So I could see the administration in Denver just going ahead and doing that. But remember how we pointed out in the beginning that this was a move all because of that. Just terrible, repressive bill that would disenfranchise minorities, obviously. Okay, if you were so concerned about minorities, why would you move from a quite black city to one of the whitest cities in the union? That one doesn't necessarily make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Major League Baseball is reportedly planning to move the All-Star Game from Atlanta, Georgia to Denver, Colorado. They've already confirmed that over Georgia's recent election bill, meaning that they will be moving a game from a city with mostly black citizens to a city with mostly white citizens. Atlanta, Georgia is 51% black and 41, let's round up, percent white. Denver is 80.1%. Oh, I'm sorry. 81, pretty much. We'll just round up. And 10% black. You fucking doing it right, guys. Just like Nate points out there. Yeah, moving from a 51% black city to a 10% black city in the name of justice. You're fucking doing it right, guys. Numerous sources reported that the MLB's decision to move the 2021 All-Star Game could cost black-owned businesses. Oh, okay, this is a little bit more specific. And hey, if you guys want to play the racial politics game, I might as well hop on the bandwagon as well. Because we pointed out that Cobb County, the county that is home to Atlanta itself, was going to lose upwards of $100 million in revenue on that one weekend alone. So nearly 30 businesses in Atlanta are black owned, and Georgia will face an estimated economic loss of more than $100 million due to MLB's boycott of Atlanta, according to the president of CEO and Travel and Tourism, Holly Quinlan, all over integrity law, which is fairly lax. We've covered that as well. It doesn't go quite as far as it should, and even Trump today has said, no, it needs to go further. I mean, it's a good start, but people are telling me. No, it really should, and I hope that there's more in the future, because Brian Kemp's not going to be backing down. I hope it's the first of many. But, okay, if you're so concerned about repressing people's ability to vote, if you're so concerned about minorities, and then you move to a city that is 400 times less black, why would you move to a state that actually has stricter election laws? Oh, it's not about justice at all, is it now? It's just about trying to win those social justice points that you and your corporation buddies that are acting totally 100% like a cartel. Because I think I've seen upwards of 200 companies issue certain statements in regards to the election law, how it's so racist and it's going to oppress minorities, and my water. Fucking Christ. Jesus, just bring up the fucking water jug yourself, you dumb cunts. But anyways, yeah, Colorado has much more strict laws, okay? They've been doing absentee balloting. They've been doing by request absentee ballots for a very long time. They've been very good about it. Them, I think Nebraska and a couple of other states for a very long time. But they also have a chain of custody. They also have many other provisions on the book, and it isn't the first time in their history that they've been trying to do this kind of stuff. They're very good at it, but they have rules. Obvious rules. Good rules. Critics are scratching their head over Major League Baseball's decision to yank its All-Star Game from Georgia and move it to Colorado, where voting laws are actually more restrictive than those in the Peach State, which prompted the boycott. The mountainous state requires voters to provide identification for in-person and first-time absentee voting. Okay, wait a minute. I was just told that was racist. So let's go in and let's inform those, 81% white people that they're being racist. All voters who vote at the polls must provide identification. The Colorado Secretary of State's website says if you are voting by mail for the first time, you may also need to provide a photocopy of your identification when you return your mail ballot. Under Georgia's newly passed voting bill, ID or another proof of identity like a utility bill or bank statement, basically identification without the picture on it, is required for in-person voting as well as the absentee voting. And that's not even the case, because in order to sign up for those utilities or to open up that bank account, you're going to have to use government-issued photo ID. Sucks to suck, I guess. And similar to the measure now in place in Georgia, campaign operatives in Colorado are banned from offering snacks and water to voters who are in line. But what about my water and my cookies? Somebody needs to bring this up, because this is totally and 100% unacceptable. Unacceptable, guys. Colorado is also more restrictive. Go figure. When it comes to early voting, polling stations must open 15 days before the election through Election Day, excluding Sundays, according to Ballotpedia. They have all the goods. But the new law expanded early voting in Georgia by adding a second mandatory Saturday and giving counties the option of opening 2 Sundays, as well as allowing them to extend early voting hours beyond standard business hours. Weird, right? Georgia Governor Brian Kemp was baffled by MLB's pick of Colorado after rebuffing his own state in protest of the new voting laws. Georgia has 17 days of in-person early voting, including 2 optional Sundays. Colorado has 15. So, what I'm being told, they also have a photo ID requirement, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Well, it does if you understand that they aren't doing this for any legitimate reasons. They're being sold a bill of goods. They are being sold a lie, quite honestly. It just shows you the power of mainstream media. It goes to show you the democratic machine that is mainstream media, let's be completely frank. Because if they were being honest, well, they wouldn't have had a problem with the Georgia law, because it's in place around every comparable state in the union at some level or another. They would look to other countries in the world and realize, hey, you need identification to vote. If you don't, what the fuck is wrong with you? And 3, there's just no more leaders in business anymore. Like, the only one I can think of, and it's probably the most prominent case, and a reason why he's alone on his own pedestal, is Elon Musk right now. Okay, the dude is a world-class shitposter. The dude has taken his group of companies, Tesla, the Boring Company, SpaceX, and he has, tripled, quadrupled his net worth over 2020. You have Bezos, but he's stepping down. And he also lost half of his wealth because his wife decided they didn't need to be married anymore, so that she immediately became the world's richest woman. Perhaps she should watch the first video and make something of herself instead of just, leeching on to her former husband. But yeah, she definitely worked just as hard and definitely had so many long hours or long days as Jeff did. Now, there are very few big corporations out there right now, big business even in general, that have strong leadership, that even have competent leadership. The power of media itself is, as much as people like to downplay it, and as much as people are like, oh, I don't bother with the news anymore, it's just too goddamn negative, but they'll still go ahead and parse their 70 IQ takes off of headlines that they read, or just the passing news coverage that they see on television. And if you guys are watching this right now, you obviously do a lot more research than that, because you found a small channel who will at least do the deep dive and try to give you a lot more information than just a little 4 or 5 minute hits that the maybe more popular, more well-established channels will just give you. That's not a slight on them, and you probably know who they are and they do good stuff, but I like to do a little bit deeper research, and hell, that's why we end up with what, like 15 or 20-minute long videos. Anyways, we got one more, and we got to shit on a governor in the, I don't want to say deep south, but one of them states that I was bigging up, but we found another rhino governor, guys. I know, shock, right? With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.